All right, let's turn now to CBS News campaign reporter LaCrai Mitchell in Columbia, South Carolina. LaCrai, what are you hearing from voters there in the Palmetto State?
It's interesting, Elaine. You know, tonight the issues were the same that I'm hearing as I talk to South Carolina voters throughout the time that I've been here on the trail. Healthcare, 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 as we've all said. Education is a huge thing. Interestingly enough, immigration came up here. And you had a voter tell me how there's a huge migrant worker population that's been here for generations. And while he doesn't think it's going to be something that's associated with the state as healthcare education, it's something that he thought was worth mentioning.
Interesting. And LaCrai,
and interestingly enough,
I'm sorry, go ahead, LaCrai.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say what I thought was super interesting tonight in terms of health care is that you had voters tell me they don't know whether they're for or against Medicare for all, but what they do know is that there are voters here that are not insured, and something has to come about that's affordable that can get those voters insured. And so, for me, it was interesting because the takeaway was not about the jargon of whether someone is for Medicare for all or not. It was about getting people who are uninsured and who can't afford health care. I had a voter tell me the way the current system is set up, health care is not for the sick, it's for the healthy because they can afford it.
Interesting. And LaCrai, I wonder, in terms of candidates that might have resonated, whose messages especially seemed to connect with voters that you spoke with, were there any names that seemed to kind of emerge from your conversations with those voters?
Actually, the opposite. So you had some people tell me that there weren't clear winners tonight. One person put it, there were definitely winners last time. Castro came out on top. Senator Harris came out on top. This time, I don't know who the clear winner would be. So I thought that was interesting. Now, you did have supporters here for, say, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who thought he did well, and also some supporters that thought that Warren came out looking strong, and Bernie, too. But like I said, there weren't any clear winners amongst this group, which I thought was particularly interesting.
That is interesting. All right, LaCrai Mitchell for us in Columbia, South Carolina. LaCrai, thank you so much for that insight. Really appreciate it. And now let's turn to Iowa. CBS News campaign reporter Adam Brewster is in Ames, Iowa. So same question for you, Adam. What were voters telling you tonight about what they saw on the debate stage?
Elaine, I think that, to echo what LaCrai just said, it didn't seem to be a clear winner here. The names that came up the most when I asked people who they were impressed with, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and Amy Klobuchar came up a few times. And a couple people said that she wasn't really on their radar before tonight, but they thought that she had poise and they thought that she did a nice job. I had a few people mention it, and her name hadn't come up too much in Iowa. Ames is a more liberal town. I was a little surprised to hear that, but people were really impressed with Elizabeth Warren and her clarity, they said, and they liked her conviction and how she handled herself on the debate stage. The issue of health care, of course, dominated the first part of the debate. People I spoke with, I asked them, where do you stand on the issue of Medicare for all, a fully government-run plan versus having a public option, as some candidates are proposing? People here were kind of split. I had some people who felt very strongly about a Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Medicare for all type plan. I also had one woman who is a physical therapist at a small clinic, and she said, if we go to Medicare for all, I don't know if a clinic like mine can survive in that type of situation with the payments that we get.
All right, Adam Brewster, we really appreciate the check-in from Ames, Iowa. Adam, thank you. Let's go back.